example, because although it says, there's the saying, what is that? Sticks and stones can break my bones, but words can do no harm. Yeah, right. It doesn't feel like that. It feels almost like sticks and stones are not as bad as certain words, right? Certain insults. Okay. Now I think that's a great opportunity to analyze this, to take exactly this. So it has to be practical. Really, words, when other people say things to us, that can really wind us down. Okay, someone says something, and going back to the concreteness, the substantiality, that it seems so concrete, let's check, let's analyze now with the analysis that is described here, and we'll do it in a moment. Think of those words. Someone says, what is like a really abusive, what would really abuse you? What would be really selfish? Yeah, if you're Buddhist, that's a big, that's a really, if you're practicing Buddhism, if someone tells you you're selfish, that's bad. Right? Okay. So, someone tells you you're really selfish. The word selfish. Now, it seems that word is in and of itself bad. Does that make sense? It seems like that word selfish, it holds within it a negative meaning. Would you agree?
No.
No?
No.
It doesn't feel like, depending on maybe, where's the Hebrew version of selfish?
Enochit.
Huh?
Enochit.
Enochit? Oh, if you're female. Give me the boys version.
Enochit.
Enochit. Okay. All right?
It's also me. Same word for myself.
Ah, okay. What about Freier?
But it's nice.
If I call you a Freier? Oh, you're such a Freier. Right? Okay. So, does it seem like... You see, this thing about words seeming to hold a meaning, what is a terribly unfashionable Hebrew name? Totally old-fashioned Hebrew name. You would never call your child that.
Noah.
What is it?
Noah.
Noah?
Noah.
Noah. Noah.
No.
No, okay, no disagreement. Okay, Noah is beautiful.
Yekutiel.
What about you called your daughter Shakshuka? Okay? Right? To me it sounds beautiful. Shakshuka, it sounds beautiful. Would you call it... No, because it seems to be association of eggs and tomatoes. Right? Shakshuka. Well, who would call their daughter Shakshuka, right? Okay. So it seems that this word holds the meaning of food. It seems to hold a certain meaning in and of itself. Freier. Right? Maybe not in English, selfish, okay, big deal. But, certain words seem to hold something. So, if someone says to you, Freier, right? Well, if you have that sense, maybe some of you don't have the sense this is a negative word, but if you have that sense, then check. Really, what is it within the word that is negative? Okay? None of the letters have a sense of that. Okay? None of the letters are negative. So actually the word in and of itself doesn't hold any meaning. But then we go back to, okay, I don't mind so much the word, but the person who's spoken the words, their intentions. Okay? It goes back to, they wanted to hurt me. So we're sure. But we don't know. Do we know for sure the other person had the intention to hurt me? We may be pretty sure, but 100% we cannot know. Because I don't know the mind of the other person. Okay. So, but still, it feels like it's an insult. I call it an insult. Okay? Now, it feels very concrete as someone, insulted me. And their intentions were to hurt me. And then what happens is you label insult, we call it an insult, okay? Independence on something other than itself. And does it feel like now there's the insult, the cloud of insult is kind of like flying above you? Do you get like a sense, someone said something to you and it's there with you, like a dark cloud? Okay, those words, you cannot let them go. They've been spoken. The moment they are spoken, they're already gone. You heard them, that's it. But can you get your mind to actually now start thinking about them? Okay? So you register. Really what happens is, oh, someone used those words. They called me Freier. That's the first sentence. Okay, nothing. No feeling. That's why when you insult someone and they previously smiled at you, they're like, the smile is still there. Have you noticed? Right? You say something like out of the blue. Oh, you're such a Freier. And the other person still looks. Slowly it sinks in. So the mind starts working, right? Oh, they just said that to me. Why would they say that to me? Why did they say it to me? They're so ungrateful. What I've done for them. You know, the whole story, the whole mind starts working. And so we label insult, but then it seems in and of itself, it's an insult. They wanted to hurt me. They wanted to. So my mind is labeling, it's labeling. But instead of just recognizing my mind is just thinking these thoughts, it feels like I'm just recognizing what's there. We don't know what's really happening. We don't know their intention. Most of what we think happens, we don't even know it's for certain. It's really, that's what happened. But we call it an insult, and now it seems to be saying insult from its own side. It is an insult. It's in and of itself an insult. It's got nothing to do with me calling it that, because if it was in and of itself an insult, if it was in and of itself a problem, okay, I could never say, oh, that's a challenge. I call it an insult, I call it a problem, right? This is something bad. But I could choose the same situation and say, wow, this is an opportunity to now practice patience, or to see this as a challenge, to, an opportunity to check my own mind. How do I go with whatever I want to do it? Like there's been research on that. And the reason I'm using this example is there's been research on people undergoing stressful situations. And at Harvard University, they took a group of people, in fact, they say 3 groups of people. And these 3 groups of people, they underwent the same stress. One group was not told anything, just told to do the thing, and they did. The next group was told stress was really good for them. Stress, it's not stress, it's actually a challenge. This is good for you. This helps you in this way and that way. And they explained it very logically so that this group of people understood. The third group was told what you're undergoing is really bad for you. This is negative, this is bad for your heart, bad for your this. Okay? Now, after doing this long enough, they checked those 3 groups, and they found that the group that was told it was really bad for them, of course, they were tired, they were exhausted, they were depressed. It had a lot of negative effects. Why? Because they believed it was really bad for them. If it was really bad for them, truly bad for them, that would have been the result for all 3 groups. The second group that wasn't told anything, they kind of did all right. They weren't doing as bad as the group that was told it was bad for them, but it was okay, right? They were maybe a little tired. The other group did so well, so much better than even the group that wasn't told anything about this. So you see, if it was inherently, but it was in and of itself stressful, or I guess left neutral, or any of those, you couldn't have those reactions. It was the belief that in and of itself, it is this, that, and the other. Okay? Now, I'm not saying you can do this with everything. But a problem, it's not like this can be a cup. This table can be a cup or a car or whatever. This is not true. There are certain objects where you can see the opposite. The stick can be perceived as long and short. You can do that with the stick. It's short in relation to one thing, it's long in relation to something else. It's got 2 opposite qualities. You can do that with hot and cold. You can do this with certain opposites. You can do that with a problem and a challenge. Okay? Now, like I said, you can't make a table from a problem, you can't make, okay, certain things don't work. But that's already, you can do it with the problem. And why is this so helpful? Because once we understand a problem is only a problem for as long as you call it that, okay? This is where Buddhism talks about suffering. It's often misunderstood. We are not always talking about changing everything around us. I mean, not even the Buddha can do that. I can maybe change my own experiences, even long-term, but that's long-term. But we're still going to die, we're still going to get sick and age as long as we're around in this world. Well, we'll experience those. But the first step we take is to learn to not just see it as negative and a problem and as something unbearable, but rather we learn to see that in and of itself, it's neither a problem nor a challenge. It's up to me. It's dependent on how I take it. This is already the first level of freedom. Shantideva, a great master of the 8th century, he gives the analogy, it's like, he's basically saying you can't change the whole world, but you can change your attitude. So, how does he say it? You can't cover the whole world with leather in order not to feel the sticks, the sharp, like any kind of object that could cut your feet. But instead you can put leather underneath your feet, has the same effect. Okay? So, the first level is to understand, and this is very rough, this is just coarse, but this is the first level of dealing with problems in understanding a problem is only a problem as long as I believe it is one. But can I find a problem within the problem? It's just a process. It's a assembly of different causes and conditions of different factors, and labeled on that, I may call it problem, and then believe it really is truly a problem, or I label it challenge. And then, even if I believe it's a challenge, well, good enough, at least, although it's not inherently a challenge, but at least I'm already moving in the right direction, and don't get crushed by this problem, this problem, because our mind, depending on our constitution, we may see a problem here, a problem there, a problem everywhere, and then we're crushed. And even though we may not see problems everywhere, but definitely we'll die, we'll experience things we don't want. Okay? The problem is really experiencing something we don't want. We wouldn't have chosen for ourselves. So that includes aging, old age, aging, sickness, and death. And the death of other people, etc. Okay? But if we turn it around, just through understanding that in and of itself it's neither, that is taking what is called emptiness, or the actual nature of phenomena, bringing it into our own life without fooling ourselves. Because if it was in and of itself a problem, we could never do this, and this Harvard experiment would have never worked. See what I'm saying? Does that make sense? To a certain degree. I'm not saying we're making anything possible, but at least a problem can be managed slightly differently. Okay, but going back to then the insult. Okay, so we've been insulted. But let's take it further, the analysis, because why do we feel it's a problem? Because I feel I was hurt. I was hurt. Me, they hurt me. If saying Freiheit to someone was a problem that is hurtful, I wouldn't be so happy if someone said it to the person I don't like. Do you notice? The same words can lead to happiness, elation, if they're said to someone I don't like. Yeah, finally, that told them they're Freiheit. They really are, but I'm not. Okay? So that sense, first of all. But, anyway, so with regard to not just the hurt, where's the hurt? Where are insulting words? Where's the insult? So His Holiness talks about search within the object. What makes the insult an insult? What makes it that? It seems I'm recognizing it as insult because that's what it is. It doesn't seem as if I'm calling it that and that's why it becomes an insult. No, it seems it is in and of itself. Then the next step is, why is it an insult? Because I was hurt. It is in relation to me. It's an insult in relation to the person I don't like. It's the truth. Right? Depends on many factors. Okay, so, not in all cases, but I'm saying, that's how often our mind works. That's how we label differently in relation to certain perspectives. All right. Now, with regard to, going back to, I feel hurt. Here, and that's what this is mainly about, what is the I? What is that I that gets hurt? That's the big question. Okay? So what makes the incel, but what gets hurt? So if I ask you, how did it hurt you? How did it hurt you? So what would you say? It hurts my feeling. What feeling? Which feeling exactly? What feeling would you say? My feeling of feeling good. What else are you going to say? Right? Which feeling was insulted? Honestly, the only answer you can come up with is my feeling good. I felt good, and because they said so, now I feel bad. Right? But is that really what happened? Is that really what happened? Anyway, how is this feeling and me are different, right? The feeling and me are not the same. So even if my feeling gets hurt, since the I is separate from mind and body, how, if my feeling gets hurt, did the I get hurt? How do I go from feeling to the I? That's another question. We never check that out. But tell me, what do you think? My confidence. Okay, so if my confidence is hurt, all right, my confidence is hurt. How did it hurt my confidence? How did it hurt my confidence? Because if they said I'm a Freier, and I am one, well, thank you for letting me know. And if I'm not one, well, you're just plainly wrong. Which confidence has been hurt? If they're wrong, no confidence is hurt. If they're right, well, thanks for letting me know, because now I can change that. My confidence grows stronger. Right? If we really think about it, we don't stop thinking. We register, and then we're upset. We register, and we become upset. And then that emotion that is upset, that controls everything. I have to say something back. I need to get back at them. I'm going to do, maybe I take revenge, whatever my plan is. But if we feel so strongly we've been hurt, how was your confidence hurt?
The story about yourself.
The story about yourself. What is the story about yourself?
Illusion. Persona.
Okay, but it doesn't feel that way, right? It feels more like... Yes, go ahead.
The experience of being unrespected.
Okay, the experience of feeling not respected. Yes.
Now I dance from not respected to last year to 20 years ago.
Okay, you're not being respected.
Yes.
That's a good one. That feels real. To me, it feels like, I remember. I know what that feels like.
Yes.
I don't feel respected. I deserve to be respected, but I'm not respected. Good, okay. All right. So one person says one sentence. So what does it mean to be respected? So because they didn't say it, I felt respected. Is that right?
Yeah.
If they don't say that, I feel respected. So how does not being called a Freier lead to me feeling respected? Usually. Because people are friendly to me, right? Yeah? Okay. So people are friendly to me, so I feel respected. Okay, good. That's usually where we leave it. Okay, respect, okay. Not respected, angry. But how does that feeling respected, do I respect myself? Yes, right? I respect myself, and that's healthy. We should respect ourselves. But if someone else doesn't respect me, is that my problem or their problem? Actually, it's theirs, right?
The correct way is theirs.
The correct way would be theirs, right? So if they don't respect other people, I want to be respectful towards others. If someone else doesn't respect others, that's actually someone else's problem. Why is that my problem? Right? Actually...
It's awakening a lot of experience at the same time.
Pardon?
It's awakening a lot of experience of this kind, like the way they look, high voice or something.
Yeah. No, I know you're totally right, but I'm trying to get at this feeling of hurt. Like, what is really hurt in that moment? Like, you said we don't feel respected, but actually, that is just what's happening. What we say the other person is doing, they're not respecting us. But how does that hurt me, right? So I just want to get back to what is actually hurt. Because if we cannot find anything that gets hurt, we don't need to feel hurt, right? I mean, if we really...
Logically, we shouldn't, but it doesn't, in reality, we do feel hurt.
Logically, very good. Logically, we shouldn't feel hurt, but we still feel hurt. So that means we're not thinking logically. Let's think logically, right? Let's bring our emotions onto a more logical level. That's why we're using logic here to bring it onto an emotional level. Because right now, yeah, we do very good logic. I can do very good logic when my neighbor has a problem. Right? Like all the logic's there. But I can't do it with myself. Why? Because there's a very strong sense of I. I'm a little bit more important than my neighbor, my I, right? It's so easy, like even if my neighbor fails, of course, logically, no one is perfect. Everyone makes mistakes. And if I love my neighbor, I say, look, forgive this to yourself. It's not so bad. It's okay. We make mistakes. And we totally feel that. We feel it, right? We say so from the depth of our heart. Our best friends, look, it's okay. I see all your good qualities. It's nothing. Look what you've achieved. But we can't do that with ourselves. Because my failure is big. My failure is big. So because our sense of self, it's not just there's a strong I, like a sense of an I, but a strong sense of my success is a little more important. Right? My happiness is a little more important, so my success, you see how the mind exaggerates. My success is a little bit more important. That's how we can hate ourselves at the same time as we also think we're more important. We can't forgive ourselves failure easily.
But it's
Okay?
because you're the only one who possesses your own mind, so everything you experience is with your own senses. So how would you feel someone else's senses?
Okay, now you're saying that, well, I only feel my own failure, not the other person's failure.
Not always with them.
You're not always with them, but I only feel it so strongly because to me the failure is worse.
Because it's not because you experience yourself all the time, from moment to moment to moment to moment.
You experience yourself all the time. You don't experience another person all the time, but you experience also your success all the time, right? But how conveniently do we ignore our success and focus only on the failure? In that moment, I was good until now. I've been doing really well. And then okay? So we experience our success. We know our good qualities. And still we very easily zoom into the bad ones when things go wrong. And like self-hatred, where does it come from? Have you all experienced self-hatred? Self-deprecating feelings? Of course. What happens in that moment? If someone tells us, but look, you were good at the, and we go, oh yeah, that's right. What shows us? What does it show us? We were with the success all the time, but we forgot about it. We're not aware of all our good qualities because we zoom into something negative. Can you see how it's difficult? It's difficult. Our mind is very complicated. The stories it creates, it's very difficult to see which part of those stories are real, what is in accordance with reality, and what is not. Okay? But just going back to me, for me it's more important to be successful than for others. Of course, I feel my happiness. I don't feel the happiness of others. I think that's what you're saying. Okay? My happiness is more important because I feel my own happiness. That's how the mind feels. My happiness is more important because I only experience my happiness and I don't experience the happiness of others. Is that what you're saying? Kind of like, right? In a way it comes down to that. but my happiness is dependent on the happiness of others. Would you agree? My happiness, if we use that kind of logic, well, actually, we're all dependent on each other. Everything that I own, everything that I learned is directly or indirectly related to others. Okay? So just taking the classic example in the scriptures is, take one plate of rice. In Israel, it would be like one plate of trina. One plate of trina. How many people were involved in that plate of trina? Directly and indirectly. Okay? Even if they don't have the motivation to provide me with trina, my computer doesn't have the motivation to provide me with a program, a writing program, etc. I still, I hold it dear. I'm not going to push it around and damage it in any way. Okay? So, that is true. I only experience my own happiness, but the happiness of others is dependent on it. But let's face it, more importantly, it's the sense there is this I. Okay? There's this I that is separate from my mind and my body. Who disagrees? Do you agree or you disagree?
Say it again?
It's the I. It's the I, the sense of an I, that, from a Buddhist point of view, it's our exaggerated, it's not saying the I doesn't exist, but an exaggerated sense of an I that is separate from mind and body, that leads me to think my happiness is more important, and therefore leads me to judge my failure, to be more judgmental, to be hard on myself when it comes to failure, and of course to be very attached to praise, to good reputation, to gain, and to pleasure. Okay? Right? And it feels, first of all, I'm very clear on what is gain, what is pleasure, what is praise, and what is reputation. Is there an actual gain? Is there gain from its own side? No. Why not? Well, yes?
It is related.
It's related. Gain is always in relation to something other than itself. To me, the classic example is, let's say you change euros today, and you get, what? 400 shekel today. Okay? You get 400 shekel after you changed 100 euro, something like that. Right? 400 shekel. Okay. Now, yesterday, let's say you find out yesterday you got 450 shekel. Today you got 400. Yesterday 450. You find out. What do you feel? Loss.
Why?
I'm a friar. Why didn't I do it yesterday? Right? Then I find out, oh no, yesterday was 350. I feel I gained. Got the same money, 400 shekel. Yesterday was 350. I feel like a success. I feel like the opposite of a friar. Good, well done. Then I find out, yesterday was 450. I feel like I lost. Got the same money. Okay? Is it a loss? Is it a gain? Neither. In relation to yesterday, being 350, it is a gain. In relation to yesterday being 450, it's a loss. Same thing. Right? Does it make sense? So actually, gain and loss, whatever exists, everything exists not in and of itself as this, that, and the other, but in dependence on other things. Independence on other things. What does that mean? There's 3 types in which objects depend. 3 types. One type is causes and conditions. One type is parts. And one type is labeling. Okay, now this is difficult. I've only mentioned the relativity in the sense of something greater is a gain, something lesser it's a gain, something greater it's a... That is, in some cases, that's a dependent arising that is included in the 3 that I mentioned, but it is not mentioned as often. It is dependent, this is included in the dependence on